Hello everyone and welcome back again. Now in this lesson we're going to continue working on our activity, and I would like to style it a little bit because as you can see here we got everything in this pretty much standard view. We got our button, which is rectangular. We got our text views, which are, or edit texts, which are, don't have any other borders other than this, just only this underline. So I would like to make it a little bit more personalized. So in order to do that, first of all, I would like to change the background of this activity. Instead of making it just plain white, I would like to make it dark gray. So it will actually, match out a little bit or capture a little bit out of this, our DLMS platform's look and feel, or at least philosophy, if you will, of the UI. So over here, I'm going to have the Android, and I'm going to call this background. So Android : background. And right here, you can choose actually one of the three resource files. You have color, drawable, and Android again, if you'd like to pick up something else. Now I'm going to pick up from color, and here I'm going to pick up the dark gray. Dark gray. Right? Now when I save this, you get everything, including my buttons. They start getting, and edit text, they start getting, they already got gray. And where did I get the colors? I got them actually from the internet. I just simply copied this list of colors and I pasted them right here. So I created under the values color.xml, and then I've got all these colors over here. So you get the color name and you get the value of the color, right? So I utilize that in order to color my activity. Now here's the thing. As you can see here, everything got this dark gray background. I would like actually to adjust the button color, adjust as well the edit text colors. However, I would like to make them all of those three a little bit roundish, like they have this a little bit roundish, round kind of corners. Additionally, I would like to if the user presses on a button, it changes its color, because by default, when I press on the button over here, it actually changes its color because this has been grabbed inherently from the theme of which is built into my app. Right? This is I just inherited that feature where when I press on a button, while the button is pressed, you get a different color. Now, since we're going to change the background manually, right now we have to supply all these information manually, and it's actually really easy. It just needs a little bit of labor work. So, looking over here, inside my resources folder, since I'm going to supply certain shapes, I need to put it under a drawable folder. However, if you look here, you get the drawable HDPI, MDPI, XHDPI, and XXHDPI, which is corresponding to every device which has different dots per inches, different resolution. But these guys are actually corresponding to pixel data, all right? And we need to specify these shapes. They are actually they don't belong. They are not an actual image data. They are pure XML kind of tags that actually Android operating system takes it and interprets it, and then it draws an actual shape based on the XML file which I written there. So it's actually independent of my screen resolution here. So in order to put this XML file, we need to put it under another folder, another resource folder. Sorry, right click on the new and directory. And here I'm going to have drawable without any suffixes. And this means that whatever I'm going to put in here is actually going to apply to all devices with all kind of screen resolutions, if you will. So new, I'll add a new drawable resource file, and right here I'm going to have a resource file, which I'm going to call this a txt shape. All right, and by the way, there are no capital letters over here, so it has to be txt shape. So you are not allowed to use numbers or capital letters. Everything has to be small. And instead of selector, if I just go back and hit the backspace and erase this, if I hit Control Space like this, I get the description over here. So if I hit Control Space, right now I would like to put the root element of my of my XML file to be a shape. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I have got a shape. Now, there are many ways of handling this. The first one is I could just simply say over here, by the way, I hit Control Space and say Android shape. And then here I can specify, I say it has to be a rectangle. And then I have to specify the color, of course. So I have to put another opening tag bracket over here, Control Space. And here I'm going to specify it's going to be a solid color. All right. And that solid has a certain color. So if I hit space and then Control Space, I can choose the color, Android color. Control Space again, and I can have here add color, and I can choose white. Right now in the preview over here, as you can see here, live updating, this is my current shape over here. This is how it will look like. Now we need to specify, let me just erase this, and I'll just put this over here, just much better right now. And I'm going to specify the corners, like what kind of rounded corner is going to be. So over here, I'm going to just simply say Android radius. And now you can specify each radius alone, or if you specify one radius over here, you can specify for all four corners. Now it's up to you if you would like to have specific radius for each corner. All right. So over here, I'm going to have here 10 dp, which is dependent pixels over here. So I'm going to close this tag. And as you can see here, it started to get a little bit roundish. Now I've chosen 10 dp because I've actually experimented a little bit with it. So I got this, the exact shape which I wanted. It takes a little bit of time to experiment with it. All right. So just, bring it back and forth and see, look how your activity, how the buttons or how the text box looks like, or this edit text looks like under such higher corners, lower number of the corners, and so on and so forth, until you get this sweet spot, which you'd like to have. Right now here on the edit text, for each one of those, I would like to have them having this kind of rounded kind of shape. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say Android, Control Space, background. And right here, instead of add color, I will specify a drawable. And right here, I'm going to choose TXT shape. Now, if I hit Control S, as you can see here, my activity, let me see, there you go. You see, everything is wrapped around. Unfortunately, I cannot actually maximize. Let me see here. So there you go. You see how it looks like? It exactly wraps around the login, which is kind of bad idea. We need to add a little bit more space over here. So we're gonna actually try to do that in a minute over here. But let's first start finishing what we are at. Get the style right, and then getting the style right, and then we're gonna get the metrics right later on. I'll hit Control V here as well. So we've got the login and password having the same background. Now our button is a little bit different. However, just for the sake of time, I will just simply create one more drawable over here. And I'm going to call this btn underscore unpressed. So it is not in the pressed state. Now here I'm going to have another shape, and I'm going to hit OK. And I would actually go as well and do the same thing. So I'm going to have here Android shape equals to rectangle. By the way, I'm keeping hitting Control Space. So if I hit Control Space, I hit Control Space, Android shape, Control Space again, and then you can choose one of the four basic shapes, which I chosen a rectangle again. It's really much faster to code that way. Just hit Control Space and then you can move on. And right here, I'm going to have another solid, and I'm going to have here Android color, which is going to be add color white, and ending that. And right here, I'm going to have a corner. However, for the corners, I would like to have a little bit larger corner over here. So I'm going to have here 20 dp. Alrighties. Oops. Control S. So we've got a little bit more a little bit more on the corners over here. Now I'll go here in the button, and I'm going to specify another background, which is going to be background Control Space, drawable, BTN unpressed. There we go. So right now we got this button unpressed. As you can see here, it's really large over there. So let's have a look how this will look like in our emulator over here. Bring it up. Now I'll give it a little bit of time. In fact, we are actually going to have this activity done. Then we're going to move on to the next activity right away. Build up the user interface as it should be, and then we're going to start plugging in the data from the server side, which we're going to get from the database right away. So we're going to work first on the UI, and then later on we're going to work on the user interface or server side. And as you can see here, it's kind of looks a little bit weird and crammed up and everything. And as you can see here, when I press on the button, it gets really pressed. However, as you can see, it's really, this is not it. When you press it, it doesn't feel like it's being pressed. Additionally, of course, you get this login and password kind of crammed up. So everything is really crammed over here. And I would like really to readjust this. So let's move on, trying to readjust our application here a little bit. Now, according to the Android's metrics, we need to start adding some paddings and spaces, and now and add as well as add margins over there. Now, for the edit text, we're gonna leave everything as it is. However, we're gonna have to readjust more, adjust more, a little bit more properties over here. First of all, I would like to add margins around the control. So we're going to add that. And we would like to add as well paddings. So here I'm going to have Android padding. And the padding is going to be added from within the content. So within the control, the space inside the control between the content or the text and the edges of the control. Right here, I'm going to put there 12 dp. And right now I get my button a little bit larger, right? And I'm going to start adding margins in order to give a little bit more space around my control over here. So I'm going to have Android layout underscore margin, and I can specify for each one of them. However, I'm going to specify for one right away, so it will add 4 dp all around my controls over here, as you can see, right? And let's do the same thing for my text, for my password over here. So I'm just gonna put it right there. The order doesn't matter. I'm just putting it there for the easy sake, to make it a lot easier for me to keep track of those. And for the button as well, I'm gonna have not the same padding, because it already has enough padding, I think, but I would like to add some margins to it. So I'm going to add margins as well. So right now we've added more margins. So let's, so I think this is quite it for now. Maybe I will add, let me see how it looks like first. Maybe I would like to push that button a little bit down. All right, give it some time. There we go. And sorry, there we go. And yeah, so apparently I would like to add a little bit more space between the button and the password, just a little bit more. So over here, in order to do that, I'm gonna have to specify the margin for each one of those. So maybe I would like to specify the margin only just for the top, and the top margin, maybe I will put it as 16, and just to, sorry, not here. I saw the feedback over there. Let me just minimize this. I saw the feedback over here. So it looked a little bit kind of weird. Top, and we don't need that, we don't need that, and we have got 16. And from the left and the right, I would like to add 4. Margin left 4 dp and Android layout underscore margin right 4 dp. Okay, so we've got a little bit more margins all around the all around the control, and then when we start this application, waiting for it to compile. I will actually pause the video, and then once it actually finishes compiling, I will unpause it. Alrighty, so it actually finished, so I'm gonna hit OK, and waiting for it to finish compiling. And there we go. So I've got a little bit more space between my login and password, so I've got that working for me, which is nice. So I can type here, tab, and type there my password, which is good. And then here I got this sign in button. All right, so we need to resolve this sign in button problem. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to go over here and specify 2 states. Now, I've specified first the unpressed button, which I'm going to actually Control A this. And I'm going to hit right-click, drawable, new resource file. And right here, I'm going to have btn underscore pressed. And right here, I'm going to have a shape as well. And I'm going to hit OK. And instead of me typing everything again, I'll just paste that, take out this. And I'm going to have maybe either dark orange or orange. Let me see here. So dark orange. I think dark orange will do, just to satisfy the same thing. And it has to be the same radius, it has to be the same exact dimensions. Otherwise, once the user presses the button and you get different kind of corners, when it's pressed, you get the button just starts to animate, like kind of when you press it, it gets a little bit more rounder. If you leave it, it gets back to its shape again, and so on and so forth. So you have to be careful about that. If this is what you would like to achieve, then fine, it's up to you actually. If not, then you have to be careful about that. All right. Now, the system has to specify or has to understand which one of those states it will actually pick up. So in order to do that, we're going to have a third drawable file, and it's going to be btn underscore shape underscore, I'll just call it underscore, selector. And I'm going to have here the root element to be selector normally, so I'll not change it. So I'm going to hit OK. And right here, I'm going to specify when the button is pressed and when the button is selected, which state it will grab, which drawable it will activate. And when the button is unpressed or not selected, it will activate the other drawable. So in order to do that, you have to do it, and you have to do it in the same order. You shouldn't actually reverse it. I'm going to have here item, Android, drawable. By the way, I'm just keeping, you see, I just put the item there, I hit control space, and I'm hitting control space right there. The btn pressed is going to be here Android state selected, so underscore selected, and right here is going to be true. So if you would like to, once the button is pressed, you're going to actually activate that one. And once the item Android drawable btn pressed again, when Android state underscore pressed as well. So selected and pressed because you could actually have you could select actually on a control using keyboard if you have a keyboard connected to your Android tablet or phone or whatever. You actually can do that, by the way. I've tested it. It looks actually kind of awesome. You can actually even hook up a mouse to your phone. It's really a great idea. Android, drawable, and then right now, drawable, btn, unpressed. So all the time, you're going to be in the unpressed state. Only when you pressed, you're going to activate. Only when those two states start, becoming true, this guy will be activated. Now I'm going to get back to my login. And instead of having this btn unpressed, because I actually wanted to see the button, how it will look like, right now I will exchange it with the btn shape selector. Okay, Control S that. And then now I'm going to hit play or run the application. And I'm going to hit OK. And right now, when I press the button, as you can see here, it changes the color, right? When I press on it. So if you load this on your phone and you press your finger against the button and you don't leave your finger, it will look always like that. Once you left out your finger, it will actually return back to its original color. So it's a really not bad touch to have over here, right? Now, instead of having this should throw me to the next activity, let's make it so it will actually throw me to the next activity. So I'm going to go back again over here, and I'm going to go to Java. Under this ba.fit.dlms-client.app, I will write here, right-click. I'm going to add an activity, and it's going to be a blank activity. And right here, it's not going to call. I'm not going to call it main activity. I'm going to call it just DLMS home. All right. And the layout now, I'm just going to leave it as activity underscore DLMS home. Leave the title as DLMS client. All right. And yeah, just this is it. So I'm going to hit OK, finish. So once I finish, I will end up with two files. My activity file over here, which by the way, I think I could add it as well from here, blank activity. So the layout file, which describes the layout of my form over here, or the activity over here. And here is here's the code behind, or this is the, let me just say sync now. This is the code behind of this activity. All right. Now, I'm going to leave this as hello world for now, so it will be, or you know what, let me try to center it a little bit here. So Android layout, center vertical to true, and Android layout underscore center horizontal to true. And I'm going to call this, instead of add hello world, I'm going to call this, let's see, DLMS. I'm just going to give it hard code string over here. DLMS client home. Right. Of course, it's going to give me a warning or something like that, but I'm going to leave it for now like this. Now, in order to open another activity based on a button press, we have to do something. We have to create something which is called an intent. Now, as I was already said before, we are going to create this. The part where we're going to communicate with the server a little bit later. We're going to get actually the user interface prepared, so it will. So whenever we get the data from the server, we're just going to plug it into our user interface, and the user interface will just simply react appropriately. All right. So instead of showing this toast, of course, right here, I could have just to do, and I'm just going to have it here, say here, check login info with the server, right? And right here, I'm going to create, I'm going to actually start creating an intent. And what an intent is, you can imagine it like a request where you would like to say, okay, I'm going to right now go ahead, instantiate another page. And in order to instantiate that other page, you have to tell exactly what you would like to do with that other page. Sometimes you would like to send information to the other side, because every activity is some sort of independent of the other. And they are all tied up. They are all tied under your application thread. So your application is a single thread, all right, in the memory, and holds multiple references to your, it holds references to your activities in your application, all right? And in order to talk from one, or send information, make two activities talk between each other, or send information between several activities, you have to send them inside a package. So you create an intent object and then you start shooting these objects around, these activities, like what I'm going to do exactly over here. So I'm going to create here an intent equals to new. Actually, let me do it like control space. And it's actually coming from the Android content, enter, intent equals to new, and then intent. And right now you have to tell what is your application context, because at the end you have to tell who is actually making that intent. So here I'm going to have get, you can either pass this, you can just simply pass the current activity, the current object of the activity, you can just simply say this, or you can just simply say get application context, comma, and right here you're going to have to specify the class of the activity which you are actually calling. So it's going to be DLMS home dot class. All right. So I'm actually referring to this guy. Okay. Now our intent here is really simple, at least for now. And here I'm going to have start activity with that intent, and that's it. Now let's start this. All right, I'm gonna hit OK. Oopsie, and there we go. And right now, regardless of the username and password, because I'm not actually checking the login with the server yet, if I hit sign in, I get to my DLMS client home. Now, here is the next step, which we're gonna actually start in the next lesson. I would like actually to add the navigation drawer. So whenever I have So I would, because I'm going to have multiple things to check over here, I would like to check announcements. We would like to do, we would like to download user materials or DL materials. I would like to check out I would like actually to apply for the exams as well. I would like to check out my grades for every subject that I have passed. So we're going to actually start coding first. We're going to start coding first the drawer navigation. Then we're going to actually go further and check out as well, grab from the database our grades for the logged in student. And then you're going to get the average grade for every year. And then we're going to get every grade for every subject that has been passed. All right, this is actually the plan. So in the next lesson, we're going to start constructing this navigation drawer. In the lesson after, we're gonna with the fragments as well. So we're gonna have as well fragments, we need them. And then in the lesson after, we're gonna actually start populating our fragment of your success rate, fill it in with data from the database. So we're gonna look into that later. All right. So thanks a lot for your attention and see you in the next lesson.